Welcome to Midnight Movies. Reviewing movies from coast to coast. Here's your host, Khalil the Slacker Hacker.
Oh, hello. Today is that rare occurrence where I can talk about a movie featuring super crack, exploding hookers, and creatures made entirely out of female breasts. That movie, of course, is Frankenhooker!
Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Frankenhooker was directed by Frank Henenlotter and it stars James Lorenz and Patty Mullen. Okay, I promise, it's not a porno. No, it's not a porno. Okay, so if you think the title is too dumb, this is definitely not the movie for you. This movie indulges in B-movie dumb fun. The difference between a great bad movie and a flat bad movie is oftentimes self-awareness. Frankenhooker knows exactly how ridiculous it is, and it embraces it full-heartedly. This film follows mad scientist protagonist Jeffrey Franken. Yeah, that's right. This movie gets it. But he doesn't follow the common mad scientist trope. He's a twerpy dude from Jersey who just so happens to be obsessed with mad science. The plot kicks in when his drop-dead gorgeous fiancée and Frankenhooker-to-be is killed at a birthday party in a freak lawnmower accident. I guess now she's chop-dead gorgeous. Oh! From here, Jeffrey makes it his life's work to bring back his blushing bride, full body, by any means necessary. This is where the super crack and exploding hookers comes in. If this sounds like the right kind of dumb to you, you're in for a good time. To make this level of dumb work on an entertaining level, you gotta have the right cast. And my god, does the cast of Frankenhooker give it their goddamn all. James Lorenz plays our protagonist, Jeffrey Franken, and Lorenz blended into this role seamlessly. A role that could have been hokey, and could have crumbled the entire movie if done wrong, was done naturally and with a crazy amount of enthusiasm. He's one of those protagonists that on paper walks a very thin line of being unlikable, because, you know, he's got to get those parts somehow. But Lorenz makes the character oddly likable and gives him some realistic subtleties.
You're gonna get radical here.
To calm his nerves, Jeffrey literally drills a hole in his head, and this thing that is utterly ridiculous is presented in such a subtle way, which can be attributed mostly to the performance. And his completely out of his league fiancée and Frankenhooker-to-be, Elizabeth Shelley, is played by, at the time, Penthouse pet Patty Mullen. I mean, if I was about to marry her, I'd explode some hookers too. This episode got a little bit more sexist than I intended it to be. Not that I intended it to be sexist. This is, oh boy. And to make it a tad bit more believable that she's about to marry someone like Jeffrey, they put her in a fat suit. By the way, can you believe that this was considered fat in 1990? Considering that she was mostly a model before this, Mullen gives a surprisingly fun performance. As Frankenhooker, she is almost like an animated character. She has plenty of brilliant idiosyncrasies and adds flair to the role that you would normally see from a seasoned actor.
Want a date? Going out? Looking for some action?
Like, she does this thing with her face, where it just goes all like a rubber face. Like, I can't do it. And I swear, she was probably hired strictly based on that face.
Patty, just make the face like you're completely just spazzing out, like, you know. And he showed me, and I did it, and that was it. It was simple as that.
Oh. She was. Well, it worked out. It's honestly a shame that this was her last role. Like, previously to this, she was in the TV show, like, once, and then she played a very, very small part in another low-budget horror movie. But don't you think that the great performances were reserved strictly for the leading roles? No. The side performers actually also give really good B-movie performances. Jeffrey's mother, played by ex-wife of Woody Allen, Louise Lasser, is only featured in one scene, but she steals the show. She's just your typical Jersey mom who sounds like she's smoked 6 packs of cigarettes a day since the day she left the womb. On the day of shooting, she was incredibly sick and couldn't really speak, so all of her dialogue was dubbed, and I had no idea until I started doing research just the other day. Also, she has one of my favorite lines in the entire movie.
I'm scared, Mom. And I feel like sometimes I'm plunging headfirst into some kind of black void of sheer, utter madness or something. Do you want a sandwich?
Last but certainly not least, I'd like to mention the man that I dream I look like when I grow up. It's Zorro, the pimp. I don't remember the actor's name, because I looked him up, he's not in anything else. So basically, yeah, he's Zorro the pimp. There's nothing really to say about him, so I'll just show you this.
When a man loses his house, he loses everything.
I didn't lose them, man. They just blew up.
Also, I really want to show you this because look at this. As I mentioned before, what makes this film work is how aware it is of its own ridiculousness. Kudos to Gabe Bartalos for creating some effects that were miles above the quality a film like this would normally have. Granted, the practical effects did range from astounding to B-movie crap. But even when the effects are bad, it's a fun kind of bad, which adds to the charm. Many of the effects were geared more towards comedic effect than they were gore, and it worked in the midnight silliness territory. I also have to mention something that I found when I was doing research on the DVD of this movie. So for some reason, when they were interviewing Gabe Bartalos, when he was talking about special effects, he decided that it would be best to film this at an actual brothel. And I mean, like, sure, whatever, do you, Frankenhooker DVD, but when he's like in between talking about shit, there's a scene, there's just a little bit where he's sitting on a couch and he says something and then he just stares at the camera. Then a lovely hooker sits down next to him, cuddles up to him, and we sit in silence with Dave Bartalos and this hooker for about 30 seconds. Yeah, I timed it. And you know what? I'm gonna make you watch it. Look at this. Look at it. Come on. For what? Why is this here? What are we doing here? Dave Bartalos! Why are you making us do this? Dave Bartalos! Dave Bartalos, come on! For what, Dave Bartalos? For why? For why, Dave Bartalos? It's very apparent that director Frank Henenlotter has a very deep love of B-movie schlock. Henenlotter is mostly known for his Basket Case trilogy, and I guess hasn't really done much since the late 80s and early 90s. And honestly, the conception of this movie came about the only way a movie like Frankenhooker could. So Frank Henenlotter fought tooth and nail to get this meeting set up between him and this producer who could fund movies and whatnot. And he had this pitch for a movie titled Insect City. And he talked it through with the producer and he told him all about this movie, to which the producer basically went, yeah, no one's gonna pay to see this. Great movie, but I'm not gonna fund the movie that nobody's gonna see. And so Frank is a little down on himself, whatever, and the producer says, but tell me what else you got. And Frank he's not gonna pass this up. So he starts riffing. Like, he just starts coming up with various plot details of this random ass movie. Apparently, it was always a dream of his to mix The Brain That Wouldn't Die with a Frankenstein-esque story. And so he's just started riffing off of that and just started just making shit up on the spot. And it would make the producer laugh, and so they had this back and forth for a little while, until eventually that made the plot of Frankenhooker. And here we are, after a 20-minute pitch of just riffing an idea of a movie. We got Frankenhooker. By the way, I have yet to scratch the surface of how ridiculous this movie is. There's so many scenes that I don't want to spoil for you, because like just watching it, experiencing it for the first time is amazing. So you just wait until after midnight one of these nights, because that's the best time to watch a dumb movie like this. Now I gotta say, Frankenhooker is a little bit hard to find. But it is like $11 on Amazon. That's what I got it for. It's just $11. Dude, honestly, it's great. If you like dumb fun, please go find Frankenhooker. Also, it's perfect for October. Like, it's a part of Slacktoberfest for a reason. Also, I'm sure it can't be that bad to rent, like if you're renting it digitally. Alright, so I told you enough about the movie. I'm gonna let you know. I deem Frank Henenlotter's Frankenhooker a terrifying tale of sluts and bolts.
Shelf-worthy.
That was sexy. I like that. That was good. Yeah.
Slacktoberfest.